Okay, so I'm going to make another video because the first video that I just made was deleted, apparently, by my piece of crap Transcend memory card. Don't buy these. You have to format them every couple days and you lose everything on them. So anyway, I'm going to have to reiterate everything I just went over. Take apart the controller. You've got 5 screws in the back of it, and I really want to keep this video under 10 minutes. So you've got your 5 screws, and that's pretty much it. They're all just small Phillips head. Oh no, that's flathead. Never mind, I don't have it over here. Use a small Phillips head screwdriver. Take them all out. Be very careful that you don't lose your L1, R1, L2, R2 buttons, because they just kind of pop out and they fall all over the place. When you look inside of your case, you're going to have these 2 little plastic feet attached in there, and this battery is attached to them. And it's just kind of like sandwiched in between them on this plastic seat, which you're not going to need anymore. So if you look at your battery, this is the one that comes with the controller, and you look up here, it's 3.7 volts by 570 milliamp hours. So 570 milliamps will make it last for maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 days or so, if that. But if you look on the back of the case, it actually says 3.7 volts at 300 milliamps. So I'm not sure which is right here. I've looked it up, and there's all kinds of expansion pack batteries you can get for like 12 bucks. But you can also spend $3 on 3 of these, and you can over triple your battery size with $3 and a soldering iron, a little bit of solder, and a little bit of handyman work. So once you take this apart, you can see, take a couple screws out, and you can see they're AA or AAA battery in there, depending on the size of this. Either way, it's not really a big deal. Just buy 3 or 4 of them. You can always return them. Pick them up at the dollar store, Home Depot, Walmart, whatever. And where did that battery go? Right here. This is one that I pulled out of a previous one. It's 1.2 volts at 600 milliamp hours. So if you run this in, well, yeah, you know what? That really wouldn't work. This honestly isn't the way that you want to go. You can do it if you really want to, and you want to build a slightly larger pack on the back of this, because there's not too much room for these to fit in here. If you want to run 3 of them, honestly, you might not have that much room. But just to talk a little bit about amperage and voltage, I did this by hand in my previous video, but I'm sorry you're not going to be able to see my illustration this time. It's already drawn. If you run them in series, you take your positive end of the wire and run it to the positive side of the battery, then the negative side to the positive, negative side to the positive, and negative side out. And you have your 2 negative and positive wires. So this is going to be your red wire, negative is going to be your black wire. If you run them in parallel, then you actually take your red wire and you connect it to all 3 or however many batteries you have of the positives. And then from the negatives, you come out and you have your negative wire. So if this initial battery was half a volt by 500 milliamps, which is 1 amp, so 1000 milliamps equals 1 amp. So 500 milliamps is half an amp. Half a volt, half an amp. When you run them in series, you multiply the voltage by the number of batteries. So you'd have 1.5 volts at 500 milliamps. When you run them in parallel, you multiply the amperage by the number of batteries. So we have half a volt by 1500 milliamps. The voltage is equivalent to the width of a river. If you don't understand this yet, this is probably going to help you. So here's your width of it. That equals your voltage. And the speed at which the river is flowing equals your amperage. So whenever you take your voltage times your amperage, it equals watts. Volt times amps equals watts. So if you always have wattage and amperage, or wattage and voltage, you multiply wattage, or you divide wattage by the other one, and you'll get the third variable. So the wider the river, if you actually double the width of this river, but you split the speed at which it's traveling in half, you'd still wind up with the same wattage. So if like these batteries over here, half a volt by 500 milliamps, multiply those 2, and you're going to have 2.5 watts. 0.5, well, no. Oh no, because it's not 5 volts. So you would actually have 0.5 times 0.5, and you have 0.25 watts. So that's pretty low wattage, and I really need to increase that, so that's why I'm using this battery that I pulled out of another solar cell that actually charges phone batteries. So this was a little solar panel, and on the back side of it, it had this neat little circuit board with the USB output, and this battery. This battery, let's see if I can get close enough. Now it's all soldered together, I don't want to move it. It's 2,000 milliamp hours, so it's somewhere between, because the other one's either 300 or 570, I'm not sure. But it's somewhere between like 4 and 5 times the size of the previous one. And it's also 3.7 volts. So you always want to keep the voltage the same. Whenever you're connecting like devices, try to keep the voltage the same. And that's why if this was, say, half a volt, you could run 7 of them together in series to get your voltage up. And if you had more than 7 batteries, then you can run them in amperage after that to increase the capacity of the battery. Like a cell phone battery is about 2,000 milliamps, so this is pretty much a cell phone battery. If you have some old cell phones laying around the house, pull them apart and see what kind of battery you have inside. And so I screwed up here because this little connector is what came from the PS3 controller. That just pops out when it's connected to this smaller battery. It's connected to the end. I kind of twitched when I went to snip it. I meant to snip it over here, and I snipped it way over at the end, so I'm a little upset about that. But what I would normally do is take this battery. This battery also had a blue wire, which I snipped off. It's a ground. We don't need it. And you would just either twist them together, both of them together, and then use some electrical tape to twist them together, or you can solder both wires once you twist them. Unfortunately, I did it too close, so I can't even use my connector. So where that connector goes in on this left side, you can also see the little metal pieces, if this will focus, on the right. So I'm just going to solder them directly to that. Make sure you don't have them touch, because then you're just going to arc it out and you're going to lose your entire battery's charge. So I already have my red one soldered, so now I'm going to try to solder my negative. And don't freak out if these spark a little bit, because this battery is only you can kind of hear it. It's only 3.7 volts, and people touch those 9-volt batteries with their tongues all the time. So you can actually feel this if your skin is thin enough. It's not enough to shock you, so don't worry about 3 volts. The wiring through your house is 120 volts. So anyway, I'm going to run this together and continue the video afterwards. Alright, so there we go. Got them both soldered into place. Be very careful you don't accidentally arc out a few of these other things. Okay, so it's been about 4 days now since I created the battery, and I've been testing it out. The battery was only about a quarter of the way charged, so about maybe 500 milliamps were in it. So the battery's still working. People have been using this for the last 4 or 5 days now, and it has not been charged once. So I'm going to check it out and see how much battery is left, because I haven't checked it since I put in the new battery. So everything is working, it's got power, it turns the PS3 on. Since I didn't mess around with the circuit board at all and we only changed out the battery, there's not going to be any problems with the controller. Full battery. Alright, let me zoom in on that so you can see. There you go, full battery. So those 500 milliamps have lasted me the last 5 days. And it still says full. So I hope you liked the video. Get creative and enjoy. Thanks.